West African history. African response to colonial rule. African response to colonial rule. African leaders and their societies reacted differently. Majority in two ways, i.e., some collaborated with the Europeans and others resisted the Europeans. Reasons why Africans resisted the whites in their areas. They wanted to preserve their independence. Some Africans resisted because they felt they were militarily strong. Some resisted because their rival enemies had collaborated, i.e., the Fand had collaborated with the British against Assad. The need to protect African cultures and practices led to resistance. The need to safeguard their position in trade by the African leaders led to the resistance. The influence of traditional African leaders led to resistance. The Africans in West Africa never wanted to pay heavy taxes imposed by the whites. They resisted forced labor imposed by the whites. They wanted to pressure their land against the whites. The influence of some courageous, fearless leaders like Samator. Some states resisted to preserve Islam and looked at Europeans as infidels. The harsh Europeans' policies were harsh and oppressive, i.e., the French system of assimilation in Senegal. Racial segregation practiced by the Europeans in all sectors against the Africans led to resistance. Reasons why African resistance. Disunity among African states and rulers led to their defeat. West African history. African response to colonial rule. African economies were weak and poor and could not finance the wars to success. The use of divide and conquer policy led to the defeat of the Africans. African civil wars had weakened the African armies. Effects of slave trade and slavery led to their defeat. The role of chartered companies that had troops, finances led to the defeat of Africans. Missionaries also softened the hearts of the Africans through their teachings.